Hello City, hello world. Welcome to another installation of the Gospel Jazz Connection. Yes, indeed, another week is come and gone, and we've got a special young lady that is a publicist. And I was going to say does, but you know, that word publicist is a whole lot of work involved in that one there. So you're in for a treat. Meantime, in between time, let me tell you a little bit about the Gospel Jazz Connection and what we do each and every week is we bring up subjects, issues, problems, and then we have a panel of experts that come in and give their opinion. And you can put it in your own style so that it works for you. At the end of the show, we hope to give you some type of solution. Meantime, in between time, I'm playing Hiroshima and great group, great friends of mine, and you get a chance to hear smooth jazz in the background throughout. And that's what we do here on the Gospel Jazz Connection each and every week. So thank you for joining us out there. Alrighty, so without mixing and matching, we're going to go to our beloved, one of our beloved hostesses that's been around for a while. She'll tell you about all the stuff she's involved in. But today, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Miss Linda Coleman Willis. Linda, how are you?
Hey, I am fantastic, Dee. How are you?
I'm good. So what's going on with you, lady?
I am trying to just stay afloat. So it just seems like all of a sudden, you know how it's everything and nothing? Well,
right.
This has been an everything week for me. All kinds of exciting things. I'm not complaining.
I got you.
But let me tell you, it's been really busy.
Yeah, well, you know, what else is new? Your dance card stays full, you know, so we can ask your husband, you know what I'm saying? He'll tell you. But it's a good thing that you're able to be a woman of God and handle all the things you do and the strength that you bring down to be able to handle it. Man, thanks for being here and taking the time out each and every week. So you've got a treat for us, a young lady beside you that we're going to introduce, you know what I'm saying? So why don't you go ahead and let's break it in. And over here, looking and smiling, we have our own young lady that's new to the scene, but she's not. Miss Evelyn Germany Palmer, better known as Germany. All right, Germany, so this is what we're going to do. We're just going to get started in this situation, and we're going to talk about some things, and then we're going to come back, ladies and gentlemen, and just chop it up. But for right now, let's go back to Linda Coleman Willis, and let's get it kicked off. Linda, go ahead now.
All right. I'm really excited to have our guest this evening, and we're going to talk about two amazing young ladies, Raquel Wilson and Tanisha Lewis. They are changing the lives of young people in South Central Los Angeles, where they grew up. And they have an organization, Empower Her Project, which is a 501c3 platform providing millennial women of color who are starting out in business a platform to network with veteran women who are already thriving in business. Sounds familiar, Hundi? Mm-hmm. The organization provides professional development and advocacy opportunities. And we're delighted to have here with us this evening their publicist and their PR person, Deborah Griffin, who is an entertainment publicist. They have their second annual Women of Color Empowerment Brunch that's coming up on Sunday, June 9th. And we're going to talk about them and about that for a little while here with their publicist. Deborah, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Oh my God, thank you.
We're really excited that you were able to make it. We know we wanted the girls here, and it was a great effort, but we're glad that you're here.
Thank you for having me.
Go ahead and share with us about that empowerment brunch that they're going to have.
You know what? The brunch is coming up this Sunday, June 9th. It's from 11 to 3:30, and it's going to be in South Central Los Angeles at the Jordan Downs Community Center, which has recently changed the name to the Watts Civic Center. And at that event, the key is to bring veteran women, as you said, together to be a sort of mentor to the millennial women who are starting out in business, giving them the keys and the tools to be successful so they're able to really hit the target and do what they're effectively called to do. This year's honorees, we're spotlighting former Councilwoman Jan Perry, community activist Susan Burton, as well as community partnership consultant Linda Miles. Those are the three women that have made an impact in South Central Los Angeles within the community that the young ladies are a part of, and they wanted to just basically honor them with an award. This year's panelists, there's a variety of different panelists. If individuals want to know more about it, they can go onto the website, which is empowerherproject.org. Right now tickets are $30. They're being sold on Eventbrite. If there are any youth that are under 18, between 15 and 18, they absolutely get to attend for free.
Yeah, let me just ask you a little bit more about Raquel and Tanisha, since they are amazing young ladies who are really doing things to help other young women from South Central LA. How do they reach out? What kind of outreach are they doing? How does the program work, Empower Her Project?
Yeah, they're going back into the schools. One particular, Jordan High School, they recently did a prom dress giveaway. They're going back and mentoring them with school supplies, just a variety of different things.
And these young ladies are millennials, right?
They are.
Right.
They're in
Yes.
their 20s.
So the next time we hear someone say, "Oh, those millennials," we know that we can definitely talk about Raquel and Tanisha.
Yeah,
So
they're in their 20s.
I'm really glad that you brought their story to us. So how does the community support them? In what ways? Other than, well, we know you want them. They would be great if they would attend the luncheon. But any other
So
ways?
you're asking how can the community support, or how are they supporting?
How can, I mean, if people are listening and they maybe want
you know
to.
what? They are actually looking, of course, for long-term partnerships for sponsoring a lot of their endeavors, just as the foundation. Looking for individuals to join them, whether it be financial, whether it be offering programs and connecting. Let's say that Adobe has a program where they can come in and show students how to utilize some of their intellectual properties to the students who can gain knowledge of how to use Adobe. I know Adobe has a program where they can get a certificate and a free subscription for Adobe if they pass certain criteria. So they're looking for organizations that can come on board, partner with them to help them reach South Central Los Angeles youth.
And what are the age of the youth that they're reaching out to?
Between 13 and 18.
13 and 18. Okay. Why don't you tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, Deborah?
Sure. They can go to my website. It's strictlyindustry.com, or they can reach out to me by email at Deborah, is DEBORAH, M as in Mary, C as in Charlie, K as in Kent, J as in Johnson, at yahoo.com.
Okay, so that's Deborah Griffin, entertainment publicist, and she's here today to represent Raquel Wilson and Tanisha Lewis, the two young ladies
Absolutely.
that's really making a difference
really are.
in South Central LA. We really appreciate you bringing their story to us, because that's part of what we do, and our producer Dee Nice had a show called Women of Prominence, Women of Promise, and it was that's why I reached out to him. That's the basic concept.
I remember the show.
You
I
do.
actually had a client on there
Okay.
who he interviewed at one point regarding her book on domestic violence.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a great platform.
Okay. And so is this, and so we're glad to see that the vision, I guess you could say, is continuing, and to see young people leading it is just amazing. Dee, was there anything else?
Shout out to Pam Broussard, who got the ball rolling on this one. Me and Pam go way back. You remember Pam from way back.
Oh, yes,
she's always been in the
yes.
trenches doing her thing
Yes.
and bringing quality people. So, guys, look here. Don't play. Get out there and support. When you find these young ladies out there really putting it down and trying to take care of their people, because how many times does a young lady find her way to the next level and forget where she came from?
Right.
But they're bringing it back to the neighborhood, saying, look here, this is what I've been through. This is what I'm trying to do to help other young ladies so they don't have to go through the same thing. And that's what we're trying to support, people that are doing it. Sisters are doing it for themselves. And that's why you can see I got a panel of women in front of me, because you guys have put in the work. You're still putting in the work. And we need to have the sisterhood come in and help young girls. And so, you know what? It's a must do. So, Deborah, one more time, tell them that address again, and so that they can get it right, because we don't want no excuses for them not showing their face in the place.
Sure. It's www.empowerherproject.org. They can go there. They can go to Eventbrite and type in the Women of Color Empowerment Brunch and find tickets there. And one of the unique things about Raquel and Tynesha, through their tragedies and through their being in the foster system, they both got their degrees. Raquel is working on her master's. So, and they're very young. And so they did not let anything stop them. And they stayed focused. And that's really the key in which, or the premise of this whole thing that we're doing with the millennial, is that in order to push past, to go after your goal, you have to have the tunnel vision and stay focused.
And support. My goodness, just
That's
imagine
another
if
one,
there's
yes.
a young lady out there in the community who's believing that this is her life, she'll never do anything more, and then she see young ladies her age
Absolutely.
that maybe came from the same background she came from, same skin color, and they are doing it. So it's nothing like having
And we're
a
also
powerful
giving
example.
them resources. So we're not just talking, but we're providing resources. We're providing all sorts of resources for them to say, well, where are the finances to get me to do this? We're providing a platform for them to have it.
And that's what Empower Her Project is all about,
Absolutely.
right? Right. I love it.
You know what? I was just sitting there thinking, because I do a lot of that, you know what I'm saying? Believe it or not. And I was just thinking about some of the things going on and how ironic. I just heard what was going on, because sometimes when you get in here and setting up everything in the studio and you get ready to run your show, no matter what you have put in, God always says, okay, this is what I want you to talk about today. And he can switch your whole movement up just like that, because that's the mighty God we serve, because he knows what you need to hear at the time. And I just happened to hear you say that you weren't running. And so how ironic we were talking about, because let me tell you something. Here's how this goes. The topic of the day is finding versus making your dream job. And so, with that being said, then I would like to ask you, Deborah, because like I said, that publicist aspect you do, that's not, I can't go to a college now and get accreditation like that, okay, and hope to come out here and do the things like publicists do. There's a whole lot of mixed scenarios that go into making that. So in other words, I'm saying that basically you found a way to create your job.
Absolutely.
And become what you become in reaching the higher heights and deeper depths on that there. So how ironic for such a subject for today. So what I'm going to do, ladies, is I'm going to go ahead and we're going to bring this conversation back. So here we're going to go. Here's what we're going to do with this here. All right. Were you listening? Hold it. Now, you're listening to the Gospel Jazz Connection, guys. You hear the music in the background, smooth jazz. So we're doing it here. So let me tell you something. Now, officially, let me go back and let's introduce the women on the panel today, which will include also Deborah Griffin. Okay, so we're going to introduce our players today, bringing it to the left, to my left, okay, as we're seeing it, and your right is, depending on how you're looking at it. This young lady has been in the field for a long time. She's a wife, she's a mother, but before all that came to being, she was a major player in the business world, every aspect from the top down, running it. Not only that, she's a life coach. She's a motivational speaker. She's a hostess. She does training. I don't know too many things in the business aspect she doesn't do. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a grandmother, and also she's sitting with us. And so I appreciate her. And once again, let us bring into focus Miss Linda Coleman Willis. Linda, talk about some things about what you're doing right now. Let's bring it abreast.
Okay. I love the topic, finding versus making your dreams come true.
Your job, your dream job.
Because I have done so many things. And in my earlier career, which was in the real estate and finance arena, I wouldn't say it was my dream job. It paid my bills. I was a divorcee with 2 little girls that I had to take care of. And I was told by someone that I was working for that they had a real estate license. Now, they had a real estate license. They were working. but their real estate was providing them the income 3 times of what their job. That got my attention.
Wow.
But I used that as a stepping stone because it wasn't my idea career.
Okay.
I went to college and it was sociology, psychology for me, so I've always been wanting to help people to grow, but I had to grow. I had to improve. So I've had a lot of mentors, a lot of coaches along the way. But motivation and inspiration, when I discovered motivational speaking as a professional speaker, that I could move people, I could help people change their lives. And I'm not talking about sales, you know, because I was an expert salesperson in real estate. I sold houses. Excuse me. But to God be the glory, because he discovered what was in my heart. And I think when people discover what's in their heart and they really find that thing that excites them, that they want to get up in the morning, they want to continue to do it. And so I've expanded, of course, speaking, training, coaching, writing. I've written 8 books, and the first book I wrote for women. Loving Yourself First, a woman, Dino, took me all over the world. Loving Yourself First, a woman's guide to personal power. Empowering women was my first step out there, and it just grew from there. And so I'm living my purpose.
Right.
And it is always proven, I guess we'll say it's always proven by the things that God has blessed me with in my life. And one of the greatest joys of my life was working for your President Barack Obama for 3 years. So, and it was those same skills that attracted them to me, to have me work in 3 different states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I think what I would want someone to hear is, if you have a dream and if you want to achieve it, there are people out there. When they see you out there doing it, then people are attracted to you.
Right, right.
And I've never had a lack of people who didn't step up. Even you, when we were doing Women of Prominence.
Right, right.
You know, he gave me a platform to talk about my book, to talk about my seminars, and to talk to women and to influence lives and to do what God intended for me to do. So people have they'll open the doors, I think, as Deborah is doing for these young people.
Right.
So I say, if you really have a dream, take the first step. If there's something you really want to do, just take the first step.
Yeah, you got
you won't know all the steps. Won't always be easy. We talked about that before. But God will give you signals when you are on the right track. Because things that you couldn't even imagine that you could make, I could make happen, happened.
Exactly.
Couldn't be me.
Right.
Had to be him.
Yeah. And that's a blessing to be able to find out, because like I said, when we first started the program years ago, we had so many women's organizations that were there. And Marla Gibbs was on our board and still does what she does and still stays busy. But the love there she had, and then when she was booking jobs and got too busy, then Linda came, and Linda says, I got this. And she came in and took over that one. And Vicki Pipkin was one of our press people from the district attorney's office, and she was bringing in some heavyweights. And it was a great time. And the first year out,
entertainment industry.
Yeah, the first year out, we got the Cable X Award as Best New Show of the Year. Everybody was like, I don't know why y'all cable access, because we were way beyond cable access, way in that one there. But God has his own movement, his own time, and I appreciate Linda being there and like she's doing. Now, this young lady we're going to now, I've met her maybe like 2 years ago, maybe somewhere along that line, following up for one of the television shows that we do. And I met this young lady, and she was just, man, such a standout kind of spirit. You know what I'm saying? Just the whole room was lit up, but she just kind of stood out. And so, you know, I'm always looking for some great hostess, because we're all involved in everything. So I approached her about that situation, and we had a chance to talk. And, then she lost track. She had her mission field she had to go on. So they went and took care of the mission field. She'll tell you a little bit about that one. And then she hit me up a couple weeks ago, and she says, I'm back in the city. Nobody knows I'm really back. I'm doing what I'm doing. And, I found your card, and the rest has been like, okay, now I'm putting you to work for real. She's not going away again. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the microphone Miss Germany. Germany, how you doing, man? Come on and talk about what you do.
Blessed, and highly favored. I was just listening to Linda, and I was just thinking, okay, all of the different transformations that she's been through, and just being able to walk in her purpose. And I think that's the biggest thing, when you start to understand that you do have a purpose. And the sooner you can get about the business of knowing what your purpose is, the more fulfilled you're going to be in life. And I tell you, no one could have ever told me years ago when I was working as an intern at Walt Disney World that at some point being around celebrities in that platform in Orlando, Florida would actually prepare me for interviewing celebrities on the red carpet of Hollywood. I just never would have believed it at that point as a young girl growing up in Mississippi, having first the opportunity to go down to Lake Bona Vista and be a tour guide where I was actually hosting celebrities around in the park. But here's the thing, there was no social media back then, so you couldn't post about it. So nobody knows that I was with a celebrity. But here's the other side of it that I have found to be most interesting, and that is the culture that exists at Walt Disney World, and that is pure professionalism. They do not allow fraternization. You cannot interact with celebrities, say, oh, okay, here's my business card, or can I take a picture with you? So it really helped that there's no social media, because if you told somebody, hey, I got a chance to walk around with Jackie Chan and get him backdoored into the great movie ride, they wouldn't have believed you, but you also didn't have a picture that supported it. But these days, fast forward now, and you have social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, Twitter, all of that. Everybody is on social media talking about their platforms, talking about their business and who they just saw at the market or, you know, at a latest concert or what have you. The publicist got them all there. Story goes all about that. But here's the thing. You're always walking at some point in your purpose, whether you realize it or not. Everything is working together, and that's what we know from just being in the spirit, that everything works together for good, because I honestly believe that God was preparing me way back then. So when I was in that environment, when I got out here, I wasn't all like, ooh, that's Floyd Mayweather, you know, oh, that's David Hasselhoff. I worked on set with Mary J. Blige. I was in a video with Mary J. Blige, and I had to sit there and act like we were friends. And it was just interesting, because when it played back, it was like, oh, that's my homegirl. And I remember people look like, you know her. And here's the funny thing about it. I actually had met Mary J. Blige 10 years prior to that at one of the Bulldog, not Bulldog, but what do you call this? These, the weekends. I'm calling it Super Bulldog weekend because that's what we had in college. But it's what's the big weekend they have? It's right around the Super Bowl. No, what is it? All-Star. It was the All-Star weekend.
Right, gotcha.
We were in a hotel in Chicago. Okay. She was there with her husband. We were on the elevator. The elevator opened up. Mary J. Blige walked in with her husband. And I'm standing there like, that's Mary J. Blige. And my friend was just like hitting me on the leg, like, that's Mary J. Blige. And I said, I'm looking like, because I remember from working at Disney, you don't do that. Don't you make people feel uncomfortable? And she looked and she said, how are you all? And I said, good. And my friend would say, nah, just like looking at awe. But what the funny thing about it is, since that experience where I saw her there and I was in the video, I've actually interviewed her on the red carpet, and I was able to be a lot more relaxed because I had seen her in other different environments. And the last time that I saw her, it was at one of Debbie Allen's events, and Felicia Rashard was there, Jada was there. It was just a whole lot of people that are big A-list people in the industry, and that's where having worked at Disney World came into play. And I keep bringing that up because it's so significant that you understand you may be going through a season that it may not feel like during that time you're learning anything, you're gaining any skills, you're being trained. But let me tell you, you are. God is always working with you at that point in your life. It may seem insignificant, but later on, years later, you may come back and say, wow, I never knew when that guy was out of work that day and I had to pick up the phone and answer all the calls, that later on in life you were going to be in a position that it required you to do cold calling. I know Publicis is one of them. You get a lot of phone calls going out and coming in. And so you have to be adaptable. And that's one thing that I would just tell people, to just stay motivated, stay enthusiastic, stay dedicated, stay flexible, stay adaptable. And when you're in that mindset, that's when you can be used and you can grow. And it may not be the position that you want at that time, but it will allow you to be molded where you can be really good once you get where you're going. It's the ultimate preparation.
And I love it. Yeah, the ultimate preparation. You got to have it, because if you're not ready, you know what I'm saying, you always got to find yourself getting ready.
That's right.
So I said to stay ready. That's the best way to do it, because you don't know when that knock on the door. When we used to do Urban Network back in the day, and Linda can attest to that, back in the day, the music industry, everybody reported music. I don't care what it was, retail, records, magazines, I don't care what it was. If you were music driven, you went to Urban Network. My pops had that, Miller London. And it was a time where people would be in the lobby. And Deborah, I know you saw it too. And they in the corner there blowing, and you got executives over there listening to that. And cats were getting signs on the spot. I mean, you see people everywhere from every walk of life in the music industry, from the new cats in there to the old cats, and it was all about just the fellowship of the music and the ministry of that. And so that's changed now, because the new wave, these youngsters, your son included. Okay, we'll talk about that later, Germany. But these new kids can sit in their room and you don't see them for a year, and next thing you know, they've got 50 million hits on an album that they did in their room. Off of their little computers and stuff like that, on a mix and stuff like that.
Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, I mean,
prime example.
It's
learned
good.
so much about how he got a computer as a young child, and from that he was able to grow his brand, and he controlled all the masters. So I think
that's
it's
the difference.
Brilliance in it when you're able to develop that skill and run.
And there's no more what we call record labels. The real, like all the different record labels or whatever. Vicky Mack had Gospel Centric. Verity Records with Jazzy Jordan, and the list goes on. And where are they now? Her husband, Clyde, had Be Right Records. I mean, Sherry Anderson had New Life Gospel Records. Keith Calvin had oh man, the record stores that the record stores that are in Long Beach. I'll come to me in a minute. But those were the ones what Snoop and wherever were working out of in the bottom of the basement there. He put a lot of people on starts on that one there, the major record label, record store. And it's just, this is the world we came from. And the social media has really flipped the game. And so now when you could do outside billboards, this and this, even the billboards have changed. You got electronic billboards. I mean, everything has changed. And so bringing into my next guest here, that's the guest for today. Now, I know that she's been involved with it enough to see the transitions that because now a mouthpiece, okay? And the mouthpiece business has even changed because, when you're out there doing something online and you're really doing it, the best way to get your word out there is to do it online. So there's no more like passing out flyers like they used to do at the clubs or whatever. It still happens. Michael Nixon's still doing his, and Big Paul was doing his. I mean, they've all gotten places from there. Pee Wee on the beat, started at the beat, now he's at the, he's up in now. But we've all seen humble beginnings. And so this young lady's going to tell us a little about her humble beginnings, because I know she had to invent her own job to get where she's at now. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Deborah Griffin. Deborah, thanks for showing up and showing out. Come on, talk to us about what you've seen in your little change.
Yeah, I actually didn't choose this, it chose me.
Okay.
And that's the difference. I actually was a district manager for some years with a lot of your major department stores. Then I transitioned into law. I worked for 4 attorneys and 2 judges and a partner. And so in that, I was a trial assistant. And you spoke about, Germany, how things prepare you for where you're going. And so in being a trial assistant and dealing with a lot of trial attorneys, one thing about them, they're always in trial. There's always a deposition, always a mandatory settlement conference, always something on the books. And so from where I sat it was always something happening where I had to interact with a lot of top power people, from your judges to your opposing counsel. And so in that, I kept seeing a routine of me being at a place of assisting those who were in high position. And so I was approached by a team from Universal Music Group about an artist. I decided to go with that and represent the artist. And after I represented the artist, I then took on someone from America's Next Top Model. I've done a lot of events. I've done a lot of representation. I've represented Imani Hakeem from Everybody Hates Chris. Just a variety of different people. And in that, I just basically used everything that I learned from those platforms to implement it in what I'm doing now, along with the schooling. And getting the schooling is very important. But it is a platform, yes, where things have changed on a major platform, from social media to print, even print. Our traditional way of doing PR as a publicist has changed. You have to have a lot of tools, and you have to really know your thing when you're investing your time in representing individuals. So yeah, it's different now, but I believe that if you're in this business, you have to continue to grow. The name of publicist is so thin, worn thin amongst our community. Someone who may be a photographer who has a lot of access to cover red carpets has one aspect of our job, but they are using that to build their platform as a publicist. But that is only a small portion of what we do. And so I always tell people, in choosing a publicist, just make sure that you ask, you inquire, and you ask more than one person. You actually get a chance to interview 3 and then see who's the best fit for what you're doing.
I think the stories that we've heard is really, really focused on making rather than finding, making. She took what she had, you took what she had, I took what I had. And I think for someone who may be listening and think they're stuck because they have to work in a certain location or for a certain industry right now, take everything that you're learning there and move it forward. Because for me, I can say certainly that, as you talking about Disney, me coming from the financial industry, very structured. My last job was a bank. And I was their community development liaison for all of Southern California, and it was very structured. And the people I came in contact with were business people. I got to see business from the back room. Don't think I didn't learn, right? And don't think I haven't carried it forward, in not only in my business, but in helping other business people. One of my favorite workshops is how to turn what you know into dough, because you can take your hobbies, you can take a product, you can take a service, you can take an idea. I mean, and we don't have any lack of ideas. We just don't know how to turn it into that dream, or that we want, something that we want to do, and be profitable with it. And it is easier today because of the internet.
Yeah, and I always tell young people, if you're trying to really do something, network while you're already in something. So if you are currently at McDonald's and you want to, further your music career, well then when BET comes around, they have the Fan Fest, go to that. The wristbands are free. Go online. You have to be in your circle in order to meet the people who you want to emulate or be like and to connect with. And so if you feel like my schedule is free from McDonald's on the weekend, go network somewhere. Go online to Eventbrite. There are tons of events you can register for free. You can go to, there's social media, there's Facebook, Twitter, there's always an event there being posted. Just go. Just go. And once you get in the room, you do want to be prepared. So you don't want to go and just you're going and not knowing what to say. You want to be able to say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I have a goal, I have a strategic plan when I go. I'm going to meet people, I'm going to exchange information with them. I'm going to make sure that they know how to contact me by email, by phone. So you make those alliances and partnerships while you're there.
And you never know. One of the things I've learned about LA is you never know who you're around or who you're talking to, because people don't necessarily wear labels or, a jacket that says, hey, I'm somebody's nephew
Exactly.
or something. And not too long ago, I was at an event. It was a charity function. And I was sitting talking to this lady, and she was so nice. And, we were just talking it up. She said, she was from Philly. I said, I'm from Mississippi. And, she was talking about her kids. I was talking about my kids. And we just really hit it off. I mean, it was just such great conversation. And she said, well, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm waiting on God right now to tell me what I should be doing. I said, I've written some books, and, I used to recruit for 2 Fortune 500 companies. I've been a host, and I've done all these things, but God is the reason why I've done what I've done. It's not me. And she said, you have good energy. And she said, well, I have a few connections. She said, well, take down my number and maybe I can help you, in the future. And I took down a number and everything. And she told me already that her name was Leah, but it didn't like click with me who Leah was.
Okay.
And so later on, when she left, one of my good friends who's a publicist,
Leah
she said, you know who that is, right? And she said, you know who that was, right? And I said, who was it? And she said, Leah. I said, Leah. And she said, Leah Daniels. And I said, and she said, Lee Daniels, Empire, The Butler. Come on now, girl. And I was like, that was Leah Daniels? And she said, that was Leah Daniels. You was just talking to Leah. And we sat there like 40 minutes talking. It was just so casual. And so you never ever know who you're talking to. I have been to so many events, and people would come up to me later and they'll say, oh, did you know that was LL Cool J's wife? And I'm like, no, that was Simone, and it's just like, we know who Queen Latifah is, we know who Magic Johnson is, but you may not know who Cookie Johnson is. Like, if she walks in alone without Magic, you may not know who she is, and that happened to me at the LL Cool J's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Right.
She came in without Magic, and I didn't know, and the cameraman said, that's Cookie, Magic's wife. And then Magic came in. I'm like, that's Magic Johnson. Like, I got starstruck in that moment, but I was just talking to Cookie. And so we got a picture, and I remember posting, everybody went crazy. What were you doing down there? How did you get into that? I want to hang with you. And I'm thinking, you know what? You can't hang with me because everybody can't go in the wagon, because you may be starstruck about all the people coming through, and then that's going to hurt like the whole flow of everything. So you really have to watch the company that you're keeping and the settings that you go in.
Right.
And one of the things I want to piggyback off on just real quick is the fact that finding versus making your dream job. We've been talking about making. I want to speak to the people who are listening and say, well, I can't make anything happen. Find a way to get your foot in the door.
Right.
Find a way. And don't be so adamant about wanting to go into a certain position, because as a former recruiter, I can tell you there were a lot of times that I hired people for positions that were not available to them at that time, but because they fit the mold for something else. I like their personality. I like their work ethic. I wanted to get them in, but the position that they came to me for, they were not qualified for that job. And so I'm just like, okay, but I would like to get you in some kind of way. Would you be interested in this? And I can't tell you, D-Nice, how many people told me, I don't want to do that. No, that's not. I want the big job. I want to be, one of the insurance salespeople. I don't want to be a custodian. I don't want to be the receptionist. I had a girl tell me one time, I don't want to be the receptionist. And I'm thinking to myself, if you would have just taken that job, if you would be flexible enough to take the receptionist job, you're in the agency where all the big people can see you. They're going to walk by you every single day. That is the most visible job in any company. And so if you're there and you're doing a good job, people will see it. And that's one thing that I've heard, that we've talked about. Do a good job no matter where you are. Make sure you're doing a good job. And so one of the things that we have to be mindful of all the time is that you're always in a position where you can make things happen. Whether you recognize it as an opportunity or not, it's all in the way that you visualize things, but you're constantly in settings where you can find an opportunity to make yourself visible and stand out always.
That's a good thing to bring back. Linda, we're going to come to you.
Okay.
I just want to just say something about that one there, because see, you can guess and second guess yourself out of business, out of a job, at everything, wondering what it looks like. Now, those that are walking according to your beliefs, internal beliefs in the spirit, you'll know when it's right for you. Because whatever opens the door for you, no matter how people try to just play or hate on you or close it or tell you you're not good enough for it, it's going to happen anyway. And so that's how you know. So if you're making yourself available for opportunities, then you got to look for it to come. You can't say, I'm wishing on this one here, and not open your door and see if something's not happening. And so you can't dream. Nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream. Okay, Linda, let's go and see what you have on that one there.
Yeah, I just want to add to this. Some of the best advice that I was ever given when I was out there struggling as a speaker.
Right.
And people were saying, well, you have to start out speaking for free. You have to speak for free. And I met Les Brown, and he said, Linda, you find the organizations and the associations that support and train and teach and provide information to speakers.
Right.
An organization that teaches the business of speaking.
To get paid.
And that, to get paid. So, and that, I would say to someone, if you are looking for a particular industry, they have organizations, they have associations, they have events that they put on, they have things that they do. Be present, get involved, because sometimes when you show up and you're pushy or whatever, that turns people off.
Right.
But if you show up humble and looking for information and support and asking questions and acknowledging the people who are already there, and not making them feel like, I'm here and I'm his whatever, just learn that they have organizations, they have associations, they have things that they do, they have places that they go, and observe them.
Right.
Think and Grow Rich. He said, look at the person that's in the position that you want to be in.
Right.
And see what they do. See how they act. See what the things that's important to them. Now, that some people will say that's being phony or that's being, what do they call it, a sellout. No. Because you're going to get there a lot faster, and then people are going to be looking at you and say, how did you do that? You were here with me last year.
Right.
How did you do that?
Right.
So you really, and I think underneath it all, you have to feel good about yourself. Learn to love yourself for who you are. Know that God loves you, because it is intimidating to walk into a room full of celebrities or business people who are already there, and it is intimidating to a person who may be coming from the ghetto or coming from poverty or just out of college, they don't have to be young. It could be someone who's been out there for a long time and know that they're good at what they do, but they're not being recognized for what they do.
Exactly.
And so there are a lot of minuses, but there's also one plus you need, and that is to have the confidence enough to take the step. If you stay at home and wish and hope, and praying is good, but praying requires action. That's right.
Yes,
prayer
indeed.
without works is dead. So I'm encouraging people to find that way for you. We've all experienced it in our own way.
Right.
And what worked for me was listening to someone who say, no, go where they are, do what they do, find out what they're doing. They're getting paid. This industry, they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Why should you speak for free? Unless you think that's all you deserve.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought that was really powerful for me. So
it is.
Just know that if you have the skill, somebody out there wants it. God can give it to you.
And demand your pay. A service worthy of his hire. I used to laugh when Marla used to say certain things to me, and she says, because every time I turned around, she was having to go to some event where they were doing a fundraiser, and they were bringing her on, I guess they do that showpiece for them people, and so they want to give them a plaque or whatever, and so she's like, man, I done got enough plaques, so just tie on my whole roof and then do the whole siding, and y'all keep that, just give me some money, and then they want to give her flowers, and give me mine when I'm alive, and certain things, and it was very, and I used to listen, because the first time she came at me with something profound, she told me, she said, D, whenever you need to get something done, get it to somebody who's busy. And that's all she dropped on me. And I'm sitting around going, okay, now, what does that mean? And through the years, it finally got to me. I said, oh, a person that's busy knows how to orchestrate that schedule and move things around to get done everything they need to get done. Like, you know what I'm saying, Linda, like the things you've done and still doing the things you've done. And I know the other ladies are doing them, shifting the day. You know, Deborah, your ladies that you're working with got stuck trying to do some extra things, getting ready for a show on Sunday. You know, so you got to be ready. And so you had to sit back and you say, look here, I got time. We can sit and do this. So it's just a matter of sometimes you got to get in where you fit in. That may not be comfortable, and if it gets to be too uncomfortable for you, then make your space to fit in. And that's going to take a little more effort, but listen to those that have preceded you. And then put in your, like we do here, we give opinions to people, to situations and problems, but we don't give them the catch-all. This is it. This is one way to do it. No, put it in your own style and work that magic that you work so well. And that's when it'll appear for you. Now, Deborah, I'm going to go back over here, Deborah, and bring you back in to talk about some of the challenges. I'm going to put it like that, challenges you've seen in your daily life and in your career, in making your career.
One of the challenges that I faced as I started out, I noticed in this business, when you're representing individuals, there's a scale. There's your A-list, there's your B, and there's your C and your D. When you're representing those that are partially B and under, it is more challenging to get them something to build their brand, whether it be an interview, whether it be getting them to an event. It is difficult because there is a system, which is what I've learned over the years. Everyone from your photographers to your publications to your whatever it may be who are there representing that event has an outlet that they're responsible to produce footage, to produce photographs, and those publicists have a challenge when the event is more B and under, because
I want you to break it down for when you say outlets, because some people may not understand.
Media outlets are outlets such as newspapers, blogs, TV outlets, digital, such as maybe like Radar, which means it's a media outlet online, but they also have a video platform, maybe like XXL. And so the events are comprised of those individuals who have to come and cover that event. And so the publicist who is representing that event, whether it be Warner Brothers during a premiere, they have to be able to justify the individuals who are attending that are gracing the carpet outside of the cast, the ensemble cast, for the press to come. And so a lot of times you will have the bigger studios who just want that name and face recognition. So if a B is on a show and they're a serious regular on a show, most likely they're going to get on and have access to the event versus someone who is just a extra or someone who is just a guest appearance.
Right.
But you have to keep pushing your client in the small to grow them to that place. And most talent, like you said, they don't want to start. They want I want rap. I want to be announced on rap. I want to be announced on Deadline. And I always tell them, publicists have the access, but we don't have the final say. There is an editor at a newspaper. They say this is going to run and this is not going to run because it is not as important to us. And so I just tell people, when you have a publicist, the best thing to do is to allow them to start you small and build. Except if you're someone who is Holly Berry and you automatically start repping. Their platform has been laid for her. So it's going to be more easy. It's going to be more smoother. But the challenge, when I started, even though I started with a Universal Music Group artist and someone from America's Next Top Model, they did have the name. However, their platform was more so BC list. So it was a little bit difficult getting them into some things, but you don't give up. You just keep working at it. And then it's all dialogue with the client, making sure that they understand that we're going to produce results, but they're meaningful results. They're not going to be where you're not going to be able to get what your friend on Empire gets. It's different. Your model, she's an actress, and she's getting a little bit more because she's connected to a name.
Right.
She's connected to a #1 show. So there's a lot of variables that go in when I deal with clients and let them know that we will produce the best results for you, and then we take those results and we grow them over and over and over again to get you to a higher platform where the doors are now open for you.
I have a question
Yeah,
for
sure.
you. It should be a little easier now to get your client exposure because of the internet, right?
Yeah.
Somewhat. When I started as a speaker, we had to have these really expensive portfolio folders and pictures, and I found that most of the speakers bureaus, the people that represent the speakers or PR people, they didn't want me until I didn't need them. You see what I'm saying? I had grown to a point where I was out there, and like you were saying, the people with the name recognition and all of that, but we didn't have the internet.
Absolutely.
I was spending lots of money sending out. But once I got to a certain level, I no longer had to go after them. They came to me. And so I'm assuming it's similar, but you do have the internet where you can do a lot of marketing of people and get different people's attention, and it doesn't cost the way it used to cost when I first started.
I gotta say, let me say this just real quick. I gotta jump in
Go
here
for
with
it.
this because I'm a social media expert. Social media is a gift and a curse. And
Right.
you have to be very careful. If you're building a brand on social media, then that's what you do. You build a brand. But you cannot have things on there that are not in good light, because
Right.
then it's going to be a challenge for the publicist to go against what you're building, like what that digital blueprint is. I talk to a lot of young people about this because they're not conscious of it, and you just really have to be mindful with social media that it's not conflicting with the type of image that you're trying to build.
But
So-
if you have a young person who is, they can actually start to launch from their bedroom.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
yeah.
But
and
they
go
just,
around.
but
Yeah,
they
but they have to. You're right.
They have to be careful.
Don't
because
put everything out there.
It's a gift and a curse, and it's a digital blueprint, and you cannot get it back. And as a former recruiter, and then just like I said, as a social media expert, this is one of the things that I've gone around and just talked about to so many people, and that is you have to be careful what you post, because
you do.
even if you delete it, someone else may take
right.
it and retweet
Right,
it
you
or
have to be
reshare it,
careful.
and they already have a screenshot of it
Right.
before you even have a chance to delete it, and that's a nightmare for a publicist
I'm
to
sure.
have stuff out there going. I mean, we've seen it.
That's-
People have
that's-
lost jobs over that.
That's very, very interesting that you would say that, because it is true. I represented a Playboy playmate at one point, and she was spotted with a well-known person. They were on the beach. They were in an engaging position, and a lot of paparazzis got it. Well, it went out everywhere, and she was not happy and wanted myself to get it pulled out. And so some we could and some we couldn't. And when you go into asking editors, photographers to pull, they have already been paid for that. And so to pull it down, they were appalled because they've made money for it, and they're like, no, absolutely not. So you do have to be careful at any compromising position, any photo that you put out that is not light of your brand, because your brand speaks for you.
Right, because a compromising position worked well for Kim Kardashian. So But
Some people know how to flip it when they don't care.
But I know what she's
but
saying.
Kim Kardashian grew up in Beverly Hills. A lot of people don't. Kim Kardashian was already
But
rich.
she
She
said
wasn't
you're a
building
brand.
Right.
Yeah.
But people
be
try to
careful.
model Kim Kardashian and build a brand, going naked online and doing all these things, and they don't understand that Kris Jenner was
if you don't
already
want that to be
Bruce
part of
Jenner's
who you are.
spouse,
And so was her dad's a top
Robert
attorney.
Kardashian worked on OJ, and they forget that the girl
Yes.
grew up in Beverly Hills,
Yes,
so
she
she
did.
was
But
already.
that was still
set.
part of her brand. She didn't have a problem with it, was my point.
She didn't have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Other people that's trying to mimic her, they
Right.
have
They got a
everything
whole
to
lot
lose.
to. Ooh, yeah. I got you. No, I see that.
You missed it. I'm not suggesting that they mimic her. What she said was make sure it's a part of your brand. And I'm saying for someone who say, oh well, it worked well for Kim Kardashian, that was part of her brand. She wanted to do that. But now if you are someone and that's not part of your brand, you want to be a model, you want to be an actress,
Right.
or you're trying to do and you do something like that, it can be devastating. So that was
That was the premise of what you said. I got
I got it.
what I'm
I didn't
saying.
miss it,
No,
but
no.
I just
Oh, okay.
because I'm so passionate about it. I've
No,
written
I got you.
now 10 books on social media, and I have another one that's coming out. It's called Addicted to Likes, the psychological aspect of social media, and I'm working on that with the psychologists and just how people have taken social media to a different level, and
yeah.
it's very dangerous for our youth. So I didn't miss it. I just think that the purpose is to educate, inform, and evoke emotion. And from a publicist standpoint, my own, I have a degree in public relations.
Right.
So that's one of the things that I have done. And I'm very cautious about branding. I've told her that O'Brien invited me to be on her branding panelist, a national panelist, talking to young ladies about branding. And you just have to be so careful.
Yes, you do.
It's just important.
Well, you know what, guys? Time flies when we're having fun, and we're going to have to flush that conversation out later. Woo, because that's deep, but that's real talk.
And be careful
So-
what photos you allow other people.
To make of it.
And
So
think
what we're
it's
gonna
be
what we're gonna do
private.
what we're gonna do in these final
Part
minutes
two.
is we're
Yeah,
gonna
part two. I
So
just
what we're
gotta
gonna
come back to
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back, Deborah. We're gonna each one take about a minute. We got about a minute, about 3 minutes, so we get a minute apiece, and just kind of close out, wrap your thing up. So Deborah, let's thanks for coming in and showing up and showing out. So go ahead and just wrap this out for somebody listening that wants to really,
If they're wanting to get into entertainment, is that what you're asking?
No, you got an event tonight.
Absolutely,
I mean, this weekend.
Sunday,
Run them out.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday, June 9th, from 11 to 3:30. The Empower Her Project is putting on the second annual Women of Color Empowerment Brunch. Tickets are $30 on Eventbrite. If you're between the ages of 13 and 18, you actually can attend for free. And we're honoring former Councilwoman Jan Perry, Linda Miles, who is a community partnership, and Susan Burton, who is an activist.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate it. You guys better show up. I'm gonna be looking for y'all.
Yeah,
No excuses.
They can
Okay.
they can get information on the Empower Her Project at www.empowerherproject.org.
Okay, good. Ms. Germany, go ahead and just give us about a minute to wrap your thing up.
I tell you, Empower Her is a good thing, not leaving you guys out, but if you're not reaching back to make a difference, then you're not building a legacy. And it's so important once we make it that we reach back to help others. And I just love that. Empower Her, and I wish you much success with your clients and all your future projects. And we got to have you to come back.
Thank you.
And if you can't find it,
Love.
make it, right?
No. I love it. Linda, go ahead and go ahead.
That's if you can't find it, make it.
Okay.
Just make it good.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Make it
just
real good.
Make it real good.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you know that there is something more, something better, but it all begins with you. And don't let other people can't see it for you.
Mm-hmm.
They can't see it for themselves. They can't see it for you. So don't let other people discourage you. No one could have told me that I would have reached the heights that I've reached in my career, and the things that I've done, and the places I've gone, and the people that I've met. And just know that God loves you.
Yes.
I love it. I told you guys out there listening that we were going to have a good time today, didn't I? I told you, I said we'd be getting it up. We don't do interviews. We just chop it up. And that's what we do here at the Gospel Jazz Connection. We'll give you some things to think about. And we talked about today, basically, how to, if you don't have a job, how to create a job. Because if you really want a job, there's something with your name on it. But the people that just sit back and want to have the faith, oh, I'm praying God will send me something, good luck with that. Because he also says in his word, faith without no works is dead. So he gives you a certain amount of knowledge. You've got to enact that. You've got to put that faith in activation, because you can have all the faith in the world, but if you don't put it in activation, then you're just somebody who's just stuck. That's bottom line to it. Don't let people, once you decide what you want to do, don't let people play a hate on you and take you off your game. Don't let people try to just tell you what happened to them. That's their problem. That's their situation, and you keep on going to do you. And like Linda said oftentimes, many times before, and she'll keep on saying it, loving yourself first. If you love yourself first, then you'll stay on track in everything you do. So like I say each and every week here on the Gospel Jazz Connection, put God first and everything else will follow. Until next week, God bless.